Lev Vygotsky was born on November 5th, 1896, in the small town of Orch, which is currently in the Republic of Belarus, Transylvania. Upon the advice of his parents, Lev sent an application to the medical school of Moscow University and was accepted. But having stayed there for about a month, he realized how distant medicine was from his true interests and transferred to law school at the same university in Moscow. This school opened the way for his career as a lawyer, which would soon have allowed him to live outside the boundaries of the Jewish settlements within Russia. It was during this period that he developed a keen interest in psychology and began to study it. Once Russian rule was re-established in Gomel in January 1919, Vygotsky immediately began to teach literature, aesthetics, philosophy, and Russian language in the newly opened vocational school. He also taught psychology and logic in a local teachers' college. The range of his activity was quite broad. He soon assumed an official position of head of the art and aesthetic education of the town department of education in Gomel. He was attracted by everything that contributed to the development of culture and education. Vygotsky was quoted as saying, "The central fact about our psychology is the fact of mediation." From this notion was born his most significant contributions to the field of psychology, his socio-cultural theory. It is also known as social cognitive development theory, or just social development theory. The two main principles that stress the fundamental role of social interaction in the development of cognition are the more knowledgeable other, or the MKO, and the zone of proximal development. The more knowledgeable other refers to someone who has a better understanding or a higher ability level than the learner, with respect to a particular task, process, or concept. Closely linked to the idea of the ZDP is the concept of scaffolding. Scaffolding means changing the level of support. Over the course of a teaching session, a more skilled person, a teacher, or advanced peer adjusts the amount of guidance to fit the child's current performance. When the student is learning a new task, the skilled person may use direct instruction. As the student's competence increases, less guidance is given. Dialogue is an important tool of scaffolding in the zone of proximal development. Vygotsky viewed children as having rich but unsystematic, disorganized, and spontaneous concepts. In a dialogue, these concepts meet with the skilled helper's more systematic, logical, and rational concepts. As a result, the child's concepts become more systematic, logical, and rational. For example, a dialogue might take place between a teacher and a child when the teacher uses scaffolding to help a child understand a concept like transportation. Watch this. The MKO is not necessarily a peer, a teacher, or an adult. It could be anything else, like an object, for instance, a computer, or a book. Anything from which you can learn. The zone of proximal development, or the ZDP, is Vygotsky's term for the range of tasks that are too difficult for the child to master alone, but that can be learned with guidance and assistance of adults, or more skilled children. Thus, the lower limit of the ZDP is the level of skill reached by the child working independently, and the upper limit of the ZDP is the level of additional responsibility the child can accept with the assistance of an able instructor. The ZDP captures the child's cognitive skills that are in the process of maturing and can be accomplished only with the assistance of a more skilled person. Vygotsky called these the buds or flowers of development, to distinguish them from the fruits of development, which the child already can accomplish independently. Vygotsky's emphasis on the ZDP underscores his belief in the importance of social influences, especially instruction, on children's cognitive development. Watch this. Here we have a tree which will be filled with apples. The apples represent the child's independent potential, working alone. Now here come the buds or flowers of development, which represent the skilled learner helping the student. And now we have a full tree full of buds, flowers, and fruits. Vygotsky emphasized the importance of language as a psychological tool that mediates thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Language provides the tools to gain self-awareness and consequently the ability to control one's own actions. So the outcome is, cognitive development is limited to a certain range at any given age. Language is initially used in interactions between adults and children as a means of communication. Eventually, this is internalized, and the child can act and think on its own. For example, an adult could tell a child on numerous occasions to not touch a stove because it is hot, and eventually the child will internalize that information and know to not touch the stove. Now, Vygotsky believes fundamentally that full cognitive development requires social interaction. Vygotsky provides the example of a pointing finger. Initially, this behavior begins as a meaningless grasping motion. However, as people react to the gesture, it becomes a movement that has meaning. After his death from tuberculosis in 1934, his ideas were rejected and hidden by the government, but also sort of kept alive by his students and later revealed. Vygotsky's pioneering work in developmental psychology has had a profound influence on school education in Russia, and interest in his theories continues to grow throughout the world. Lev Vygotsky created an impressive body of work in his short 37-year life. An incredible 270 pieces of scientific works are the legacy of this lawyer and this psychologist.